Uncensored Arsenal podcast. Welcome to our first ever live stream on YouTube and Twitter. We're providing a forum for honest, sober-minded fans worldwide to give their opinions on the 2021 Premier League season. Gooners from the Caribbean, US, England, and Pakistan will give their views. Why did Arsenal finish eighth in the league? Oh, I said fourth. I'm living. This is a time warp, people. But guys, it seems I messed up on the time zone for my India and Pakistani friends. I told them 12. When I went on, I use a Google search or a DuckDuckGo or whatever, and I thought it would be 12 p.m. And Omi's telling me it's 1 a.m. in Pakistan. My goodness. But I want to thank him. And I have Ehab, the Candyman, the famous Candyman Shank from Twitter, whose views I follow religiously. He provides me insights every day. And Ehab, I know you wanted to do this, but you don't love the camera, but I am so happy to have you. Ehab, you first, my friend. Why did Arsenal come eighth after so much promise? Remember, Arteta took over just before you answer.
And a long answer, actually. And the short answer is this is an accumulation of too many things that has happened throughout the last 3 years. Mm-hmm. And we didn't start right with replacing Wenger. And, just this is snowball. Everything kept happening wrong. And we got to the point where now we have to take really tough decisions to turn around. We have been going in this direction for 3 years, and it's led nowhere. And worse than eighth. I mean, I don't mind eighth. I've seen us finish 12th.
Yes.
Yeah, but the worse than eighth is that we have damaged so much good work that has been done by George Graham and Arsene Wenger. It's gone now. It's gonna. I mean, if we keep down this path for another 2 years, everything those people done is gonna go away. This is the worst part. I don't mind. Losing is a part of football.
Right.
Destroying a football club is not a part of football. It shouldn't be for us. We've been here for 135 years or 130 years. We are not gonna be led by a couple of people who thinks they are corporation or too smart to run it as a club. They want to run it as Google or McDonald's or something like this, corporate America. This is what they want to do, and it's not working at all. It is not working. It's not what it is. The class is gone. We don't care about money anymore, and this is reckless because we don't have a sugar daddy like Chelsea or Man City. This is going to continue to get worse. It doesn't matter how much we spend next year. It's not going to get that much better.
And what we are going to spend it on, and how much will we spend? I'm going to come back to you, Ehab, but I see the point you're making. I am not very familiar with the Graham era, but I know that Graham won 2 titles. Graham insisted on a certain level of class in the club. And he insisted on a certain level of discipline as well. And he might have taken a bung, but he was ex-Arsenal, and he was a former player, and he was a gooner to the core. Omi,
yeah.
The class is gone. The class, I think what Ehab is saying is that the values of Arsenal have contributed to the decline this year. And on top of that, he's saying we are being run like a corporation, and this has contributed to the failures of this year. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I completely agree on that. I would say that whatever Arsenal were made of under Arsene Wenger, or what Arsenal represented under Arsene Wenger, I think every single one of those values, it's hard to find nowadays. You can talk about in terms of the decision the club has made in their hierarchy, You can talk about in terms of the style of football that we are playing on the pitch. You can talk about in terms of the style in which the manager has managed his team. And I think nowhere from top to bottom, you can basically see any Arsenal values being represented or being highlighted. And that is one of the major issues that I think that the people in the past used to say that when we moved from Highbury to Emirates, there was a soul missing. But I think right now is the true moment where I can truly say that the soul is missing. Because you cannot define Arsenal now. What is Arsenal? I mean, what is the ambition of Arsenal?
That,
And
as
how,
somebody... Go ahead, my friend. I'm not going to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Yeah. And how this Arsenal is different from, let's just say Chelsea or let's just say Manchester City, apart from the fact that they have a bigger budget and a bigger ambition to go about and winning things. But in terms of proper, I used to say that in Arsene Wenger, even if Arsenal finishes 15th, Arsenal would always be Arsenal. Arsenal would always be the unique team in the London and the uniquest team in the Premier League as well. But now even Arsenal even Arsenal finishes top of the league next season, I don't think so it will be through those values. And I don't think so that it will be Arsenal that you can associate yourself with something like that. So I think that part is missing. And I would say that the soul has gone now.
I started supporting the club in 2005. So that's the year after the Invincible year. And I have not seen us win a title. I saw us come close in that year with we came runners up to Leicester. I've seen us made many a run, but I was never convinced. I was hoping. But what brought me close to the club was the ambition, the style, the bravery of deciding to play a certain way despite what the pundits and what the other fans say. But today we are just like any other team, Ehab. The lack of class and the values, the people are going to say that is something you can't touch. But how does that translate itself to what we see on the field today? Or last season?
Actually, this brings us a bit to the long answer, which is what happened is when you started supporting in 2005, we committed to 425 million in debt in building the stadium. And adjusted to inflation, this is a little bit over 800 million today.
Yes.
This is debt that has to be paid. So when Vieira, when Petit, when Henry were all reaching a certain age, they could never wait another 6 or 7 years to go back to competing. So they said, okay, we're gonna move away. So we started a rebuild. And I know everything about football. From 1872 to 2021, I would tell you, ask me about any team, any manager, I would explain to you a 10-minute brief about it. But the problem is I have never seen a team stay at the top for 7 years with minus 10 net transfer spent like we did.
Yes,
the biggest issue, the biggest achievement that we done is that we managed to keep the payroll around 70 million for the team. Yeah. And today's payroll is 110 million more than that.
Really, Ehab?
Yeah, it's 180 something today.
For what we're seeing on the field?
Yeah, it's 180 million. We're the fifth highest. We're behind the Liverpool, I think 190 something, 220 million for City, 220 million for United. So what the thing is, think about it. This 70 million over 7 years is around 500 million euros or pounds. This 500 million pounds is what we make in revenue from game from match day in 5 years. What Wenger did is he kept the expenses low. He didn't spend any money on transfers, minus 10 net, and So we could, by 2013, we looked into our books and we saw that the debt is it's not paid, but it's scheduled. There's money coming, and this money is allocated to the debt. You know, so the debt is going to be paid by 2022, 2023, but for this, but the payments are already there. So they decided it's time to spend, and they started spending in 2013 to rebuild. They got and they did it. I think Wenger is one of the top 10, 15 managers of all time, one of the top 5 tacticians of all time. But he's the top person when it comes to rebuilding a team. And what he had in mind is put a superstar in there, bring up the young talent that I have developed that stayed with me till 2013, like Ramsey, like Wilshere, like Theo Walcott, you know, bring the originals that stayed there, like Berin, all these people, Koscielny, and put a superstar to build around. We always used scoring wingers. Walcott was there, Theo was there, but we needed another one, so he got Sanchez.
Got Sanchez, right.
He got Sanchez, and he built a team that can win it. And I've heard him talk about it. I think it's, he said it on TV, that within 3 years, we will win the league. Now, what happened is, and I think the only mistake that Arsene Wenger ever made as an Arsenal manager was in the year that we were chasing Chelsea. No, the year we came fifth. And he, at the start of the season, he said, "This is the most mature team I've ever managed." And to think about that, he managed a team that had a back four of Adams, Keon, and Lee Dixon, and Cole. And Sol Campbell and Colo Torre, and these people, all these people were a part of his. But to think about that team that has Koscielny, Mertesacker, Mustafi, Berin, Monreal, it was a really good team. But he said, this is the most mature team I've ever managed, and he gave them more than they could chew. One thing he didn't account for, that in 2016, 8 or 9 of our players has played football for 3 years straight. They had World Cup. They had World Cup. They came back and they played in 2015 season. They went away. 8 players had Copa America and the Euros. And they came back. And I remember that game against City away, Christmas time. I think it was Boxing Day in 2016. And we looked like we were running in mud. And there's another thing he never accounted for. He accounts for, but he never thought about. It's going to keep happening to him. It's injuries. He lost Ramsey. He lost Cazorla. He lost Koscielny. He lost Monreal. He lost Per Mertesacker in the same season. All of them. And with Theo Walcott, all those players went down at one point or another. Mesut Ozil, I think, missed with the back, started the back problems back then.
That year, correct.
Yeah. So that year, that team was already rebuilt, and it was deep. He just needed to grow the youth a little bit. But this happened to us. And the problem is, when this happened, had that team stuck together and kept everybody, 2017 would have been different. 17, 18. But it wasn't, because Alexis Sanchez decided he wants to leave. And there was an offer to replace him with Sterling, switch him with Sterling that summer. And Ox just said, I wanted to go, and he went to
Liverpool.
And the whole thing got dismantled. If you remember, Oxlade-Chamberlain was the right wing back. And he was playing the best football of his life. And he was giving Berin a run for his money, because he was providing an offensive option that Berin could not provide. This guy could score. And we had that combo. We had that plan that, that could have went somewhere. But people started leaving. Now, Wenger vowed never to let anybody go. But we cannot pay Sanchez $500,000 a week.
500,000.
Yeah. We cannot keep Oxlade-Chamberlain when he, walks into the manager's office right after we lose to Liverpool, and he's the worst player on the pitch. He walks into the manager's office and he says, "I want to go to Liverpool." This is something that no manager can control. So the rebuild was stopped, interrupted, and this is when the Wenger going out started. If we had the right management, they would have sat down with Wenger and said, "Okay, you've taken a chance to rebuild, and we've seen the glitches, and we need you to readjust this. But you have to understand that this is the going towards the end. So we are going to get you a protege. Pick your protege and make him your assistant manager for 2 years, 3 years. And we will give him a promise. We will give him good salary. We will give him a promise to take over." Now, not everybody loves Arsene Wenger's game management or tactics, but there's one thing we all have to agree with. He ran the club in a proper way. He had a system for the on the pitch and off the pitch that's flawless. We were a clean club. We don't talk to agents. If an agent comes in and he says, "We will see, we will manage something," that got him banned from the club. You don't come back to the Emirates.
Right.
What? Yeah, you don't tell me we will work something about it. And
you don't come back to colony.
Yeah, you don't come back to the colony. And what people don't understand about Wenger, he was ruthless. He was so ruthless that people... Imagine a guy who walks into Tony Adams, Patrick Vieira, Emmanuel Petit, Thierry Henry, Dennis Bergkamp. Do you know how much of an arrogant, idiots these people are? You can't even talk to them, And he walks in and he takes away all their food. Paul Merson, for example, he takes away all their food, puts them on a diet like supermodels. You have broccoli and Vivienne. And you have to do 1, 2, 3. You have to sleep when I tell you, eat when I tell you. And he runs this for 22 years. So this is he's not an easy guy. He's not the pushover. He knows how to run the club. But the thing is, we should have kept that. Now we let that go. And this is the problem. We took the good parts of Wenger and we let it go away with him. And it's like a bad ex-girlfriend now. We should have kept that.
But Ehab, I'm glad you give that exposition. But the vast majority of Arsenal fans don't even care to understand that process. I mean, and Omi, I'm coming to you. How does that translate itself to Unai and to Arteta? I'm going to ask Omi that, Ehab. I want to bring him because he's been watching this. How does it translate itself into those two guys? Because they both brought us to 8. And I would suggest to you that the Cronkies decided to dismantle that. And that is the ethos that came, that those guys were, that was the marching orders that they were given. That thing against Wenger didn't work, but that's my view. But I want to hear from you. How did that translate itself into Unai and to Arteta? Because they both brought us to 8th. That's what it is.
I think majority of the things went wrong during the last 6 months of Arsene Wenger. And the reason I say that is because I felt that the decision in itself was rushed. If Arsene Wenger had, I think, another year to go, and I always felt that it would have been a better thing if that year should have been allowed to run itself. But he
had a year on his contract. He had a year, correct? He had a year more. But he brought it. Yeah, but it was by mutual consent. They agreed to terminate it. Go ahead.
Yes. So I think the issue that decision basically caused was, in my mind, is a very simple one, is that who is going to basically come in and take the responsibility of the roles that Arsene Wenger is going to basically discharge. And I think even though in my mind, I think even though whoever had come in and whatever role they had been put in, like we had Sven Mislintat and stuff and other like that. But I think the main decision that got wrong was Unai Emery itself, because I feel Unai Emery was a manager who is of different mindset than Arsene Wenger. Maybe the club wanted to do that. I think they wanted to do that, so they did that basically with intent. But this is something that backfired. And why it backfired, I think the squad that we had was not of Unai Emery's.
Yes, it's not a
It was an
United
attacking
squad.
team.
No.
It was an attacking team. It was more technical. It was midfield heavy, and it was bound. It was and if we had gone for a manager that was tailor-made for that, I think that team that season could have challenged for the title. I still believe that, because it was so good going forward. But
He was
Unai
third.
Emery
He was
basically,
third early this season.
yes, yes. But Unai Emery as a manager, I think, fell part of because of the negatives that team had, rather than basically enhance the positives that the team had to offer. So and the other things that I think went about it, of course, I would say the two main players that we had in that team, Mesut Ozil and Aaron Ramsey, both did not feature for majority of the season, and they only got featured when Unai Emery had no other choice to had no other player to basically to go to.
Yes.
So I think these all of these things culminated into one major setback for Arsenal that season. And another one that I feel is was a very big reason, but it is kind of downplayed, is that of Ivan Gazidis, who basically left us within 6 months. So the whole plan of replacing Arsene basically with three different people, I think Ivan Gazidis left in around October or November, I think, or something. I'm wrong. Then Sven Mislintat left
very
in
early
December,
this season.
and there went the whole plan.
Yes.
Yeah, and there went the whole plan. Because whatever we discussed in terms of scouting and whatever we discussed in terms of transfer strategy, we changed that within 6 months. Whatever direction we decided as a club to take Arsenal forward, we changed that in space of 6 months. And whatever promises that Unai Emery were made, or whatever sports structure that Unai Emery was promised, that fell apart. So I do not think that Unai Emery failed. I do think that he was bound to fail, because he was not the right appointment at not the right time. And I think that decision and that period of 1.5 season accumulated towards Mikel Arteta as well, because they thought, okay, we got a guy who had experience, and the major thing that Unai Emery was brought in was because of Europa League. We went into the final, we couldn't do it. Okay, next season starts horribly wrong.
And then he wins, with Villarreal.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So next season starts horribly wrong, and suddenly we find ourselves in 10th, and there is a panic, because I don't know, not in my lifetime, I have never seen Arsenal 10th. And of course, there are that board in itself for Stan Kroenke and and his colleagues, basically. Even during their time, they must have never seen Arsenal at 10th. No, they have never seen Arsenal at 10th. Yes. So I think that panic also resulted in going to Mikel Arteta. Okay, see, the thing that I will say is that Arteta was a safe choice. Because what Arteta brought is a 3-year guarantee. You fail, you still can say, okay, he's a young guy, we can trust in him, we can back him, he can get us somewhere. So see how it goes. But if he goes on and becomes a success, it's all good. It's a fantastic story. It's a perfect story, I would say. So in terms of the decision of appointing Mikel Arteta, I think it was more safe rather than more thinking about in the terms that, okay, what is good for Arsenal. Because at the time of sacking of Unai Emery, the issue was that Arsenal started to lose the fans again. The same thing that happened in the last 6 months of Arsene Wenger, or the last year of Arsene Wenger, basically. And they did not want it to have the similar kind of situation on their hands.
Right.
And with Mikel Arteta, they kind of, were able to repair that basically for a shorter period of time. But then Corona came, and then everything basically went to hell for Arsenal, because I don't know what happened in that period, but the whole squad, it had a different picture. Arteta himself seems to have a different mindset after that. And from there on till now, Arsenal have been a mid-table club, vying on the success of beating a few big six teams away from home or at home, and living off of that. Because I think even if you want to basically replay the whole season to see in the contest, look around yourself basically. You have West Ham. Do they have a better squad than Arsenal? No, they finished above us.
Yes.
Leicester, do they have a better squad than Arsenal? Arguably, no. I don't think so. I think they have.
That's arguable. I don't think so.
At certain positions,
yes.
At certain positions, they might have better players than us, but overall, as a squad, no.
Yeah, they have no depth.
Same can be said.
We can establish they have no
Yes.
depth. Once they lose
Yes.
one or two players out of midfield or in defense, they look very vulnerable.
Yes. And Leicester,
we have more depth than them.
should have. Yes, and Leicester for the majority part of the season were the third best team in the league for majority part of the season. Of
Yes.
course, they didn't finish well. They didn't finish well, so they basically fall off. But same goes with Spurs. They do not have a squad that is, you can say, okay, it's better than us. Okay, you can argue they have a better front three, but overall, if you say, I would say that Arsenal can still and should compete Spurs. Points table will say, okay, they did, but it's thereabout. But the thing that worries me is that you have a team that got promoted last season in Leeds. You only have 2 points difference in the whole season. But this is something that is a shock to me, I would say, because
sorry, Omi, 2 points more, and we scored 50-something goals, and they scored 60-something. I have the figure somewhere. Keep going.
And also, only if you can see basically the brand of football that Leeds brought to Premier League. That in itself is, I think, one of the most what you can say, excellent, scintillating stuff basically. And Arsenal were nowhere near that. And same goes with Everton. They also have only 2 points gap with Arsenal. So I think in terms of the squad and in terms of the potential the squad had, I would say that I have not seen in my lifetime. I've been following Arsenal from around 2005, 2006. And in these years, I have not seen a single season at the end of which I can say, okay, the performance of this season is sackable. And this season's performance was truly sackable. It's truly sackable, I would say. But of course, I know that the hierarchy is not going to do anything about it, because they have bigger things to fire, basically, or they have bigger things to take care of. In terms of what is happening in the world, what is happening with the outside world, what is happening with the fans, what is happening with the ownership and etc. But so in that case, I think where we are, I feel it's not a good situation, and let's see how much it can continue.
It will, Ehab. But people say we are turning it around. You know, third best in points since December, since Christmas, only behind United and City. So what are we missing? We say we are playing like a mid-table team, but the old faithfuls, we read a lot of them on Twitter and all those PR people for the club. What are we missing? They say that this improvement is going to transform itself instantaneously next season.
This doesn't matter actually. The what happens, what matters is the performance. The results will catch up. We played like 10th all season. We should have ended 10th. And I've wrote a tweet maybe in September saying that I can't wait until the end of the season when we make a run and finish 7th, and people think that Arteta is going to be the man next year.
Mm-hmm.
And because people are gullible, they're gonna think that. It doesn't matter. Just look at the performances. We average what, less than 2 shots on target every game.
Create like something like 2 or 3 shots on target. I mean, it's horrible. I mean, against
City averages
West Brom. It was West Brom. Crystal Palace. It was 3 shots on target. A total of 6 shots.
City averages more goals per game than we average shots on target. Can you see the difference?
Yes,
it's huge. It's we are so far behind the top 4 that this 6 point is just a myth. The way that we are playing, it's not a team that's trying to win. When we met the team. First of all, Omi was 100% spot on with Unai Emery. Unai Emery is not a bad manager, but he wanted to change the identity of the club. And in this market, after 22 years, this was going to take time and money. And this was going to turn Arsenal into a team that plays defense all the time and relies on counters. And it's just not the best football to play. Just direct. They remind me of Watford when they had Igalo and Dini and
yes.
Yeah. This is the type of football that they play, and that supposed to play. And it's not. It's just not Arsenal. It's just not us. To change this after 22 years of the right type of football would have taken a lot of money and would have put us in a place that's not Arsenal. Maybe if we were Aston Villa, maybe, trying to reach back to glory, maybe. But we are a team that used to get, with top 4 for 22 years. We are in the second round. We are in the knockout stages of Champions League for 20 years. This is not a small feature.
Right.
So what you have to do is we are a big club by every means possible. But the thing is, Unai Emery wasn't going to fit because he had to change so much. Would have cost us about 600 million in this economy and this inflation. And we had to do his own team. And after that, somebody would come in and he will also spend 200 million because Mikel Arteta would love to have Aaron Ramsey on his team. But we don't have him. He's gone. He would love to have Koscielny in his team, but he's gone to teach like Saliba and Holding. But he went out and got David Luiz. Why would you get David Luiz when you had Koscielny? We sold him for nothing.
No,
and
we let did we let Koscielny go for free?
I think
he had a 1-year contract and we just let him go.
Yeah, they just let it go, and he would have been a better teacher because first of all, his understanding of the game, his football IQ is really high. It's one of the highest I've seen for a defender, and David Luiz cost us 30 million.
Wow.
The 2 years plus the 8 million,
right?
30 million pounds. And this is something we could have saved. Now the thing about this. What we should have done, this is why I say we should have brought somebody under Wenger. So we don't have to go through all of this. That would have saved us a lot of money. He knows what players to use. He knows what system to use. And, the day Wenger leaves will be like another training day, Tuesday. Now instead of Wenger, his assistant is here. Doesn't matter. He's always here. So nothing's going to change. But now Emery comes in. He changes everything. He stopped. We had visits to the Emirates, where we take selfies with players and so and so. If you meet somebody, like you would have a tour with Liam Brady.
Yes.
He would be a tour guide, and the people would come in. Like if you're lucky, you'd see like let's say one of the players just walking around, and can I take selfies? Can I sign autographs? Emre came in and he forbid players to do that. Don't take selfies with fans. This is one of the things that has changed. They had to fill paperwork. They
Yes.
had to fill a paper after every game as a review for the game. Now, this is totally new for the players. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but it's totally new for everything changed. Now
Yeah.
he has a new favorites. He has a new system. People who were guaranteed time are now, like Macedoza and Ramsey. They became French players because the system has changed. We lost so much money on this. People talk about it, but easily the money that we've spent 300, we wasted 200 million. These 500 million that we spent, we got Kieran Tierney and
For 40
Gabriel
million.
Gabriel Martinelli. The rest is disposable. Everybody else
You're,
we can live without.
you can live.
Every-
Yes, you can live without Gabriel. We can live without Pepe.
We could use Gabriel. Yeah. If Gabriel goes and we bring in Saliba, we're okay. If Gabriel goes and we bring in Mavropanos, who's a really good prospect,
Right.
we're fine. If Pepe goes, if Partey goes, if Ceballos goes, if these people go away, we're good. We could have a pivot of Xhaka and Maitland-Niles. We could
Right.
have Xhaka and Joe Willock with ESR in front of them, and this would be a more typical offense that would give us more opportunities. The thing is, I'm not going to get into Arteta's game plan, because Arteta's still learning. If you go through all the top managers, to be a manager that can compete, you need between 200 to 300 games under your belt at the top level. Unless you come up through the system or be an assistant of the manager that's left. This is the only thing, because if you're the assistant of the manager, you are a continuation. You get this extra year or two where the players are still playing the old system and you're learning. You can live off the old system, what Zidane did in Madrid. Zidane came in and he lived off the Ancelotti system. And if you can remember his first game against Barcelona, he lost 4-0. And this is the thing is, because he wasn't a good manager, but he learned, and the team was playing under the same system. Nothing changed. Pep Guardiola came through the same team, and he took over Barcelona.
I'm thinking of the guy, Ehab. I'm thinking of the guy who took over from Pep. All he did was Pep, the one who died from cancer. All he did was, what's his name was?
Tito,
and all he did was continue the same system. But Ehab,
and he was successful in it.
And he was successful. Absolutely, he was very successful. So I think you have an excellent point you're making there. I see.
What you have to do is you have to give them 200 to 300 games. This is the rule. You can get whoever you add. You add Arsene Wenger, Sir Alex Ferguson, anybody you bring in. They had at least, I think Sir Alex Ferguson had 400 games under his belt when he came into Manchester United. Arsene Wenger had about 400 too. So those people just paid the dues. This is it. If you want to build a house and somebody shows up and he says, well, it's my first day, but I was an assistant contractor for 3 years, you're not going to hire him. And you say, okay, just go build me 300 houses and come back. And this is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen with Arteta. There's no magic solution. He's not going to spend 200 million in the summer and become the next Pep Guardiola. It's not going to happen. It's the same. He has no idea. He's trying to run a system that Johan Cruyff ran in Barcelona, and Pep Guardiola learned it from him. And the thing is, he's sticking with something which is the inverted fullbacks,
Mhm.
which Pep Guardiola did in the last year of Arteta's last year at City. And I think it was Arteta's idea. He added this to City. Arteta added this idea to City because the first time I've seen this done was Arsene Wenger in 2006 when he played Matthew Flamini at right back.
Right.
Yeah, and what he did, he just made Matthew Flamini, instead of making overlaps to the outside, he would cut to the inside, and now he's in midfield.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah, and
I
that's
remember now. Yes, correct.
yeah, and that's
He wasn't overlapping. He was coming inside a lot and
coming inside.
linking up with Cess a
He
lot.
was he was our right back for the Champions League final.
Yes.
Matthew Flamini,
Yes.
and for the second
Left back.
Yeah, left back. Sorry.
Left back,
And this is what he's doing with Xhaka right now. Where he plays him at left back because his defense is good, but when we advance, he's the midfielder. He's the left CM, and he likes this, and he's trying to run this, and I know what he's trying to do, but there's something that he's missing. And if you go back and look at what Wenger used to do, Wenger used to start the striker on the side of the ball. Let's say if KT comes down with the ball, and Lacazette is a striker. Okay, so you got KT with Aubameyang in front of him. Xhaka is there on that side.
Mm-hmm.
And what Wenger would do, he would start Lacazette next to Xhaka. This is our starting position for the attack. So if the pass goes forward, Aubameyang is not isolated on the left.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, we are so easily isolated on the wings. The ball goes out to the wing. It never comes back in. There's no idea how to bring it back in. He relies on Saka dribbling past people and Kieran Tierney beating his man down the line and putting in a cross. And if these two guys get injured, the only guy who would make anything is Emmitt Smith-Rowe, who's, I don't know, I've never seen somebody at 21 understand the game this good. Never. Not KDB, not Mesut Ozil, no one. Because the guy is not, and I'm saying never. I've been watching Arsenal since 1985. Been watching football since '83. I was 11 years old, and I've never seen it. Not Riquelme, not Maradona, no one. The guy, you just play the game. You just play. What he does is he provides the option for everybody. Like he sees the flaw in the system of Arteta, and he tries to solve it all by himself. And this is what he's done. He's given the team a lifeline, a chance. Okay, I'm going to fix this problem that the manager doesn't understand. And this is what he's done. He overlaps Tierney. Sometimes he cuts inside of Tierney. Sometimes he takes the ball out of KT and dribbles to the middle and finds a pass with Saka or with Aubameyang or with like an exchange with them that does something. And when he played him, Bayern, Saka played on the right side. That was our best run, our best football.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. This is what's going on with the system. It will never get better. It will not get any better next year. He can get Messi on the right and Cristiano Ronaldo on the left. And they have to beat their man, to beat the defense at their age, and find the place to put a shot in to score. And it doesn't matter because it's going to be like two times a game, and that's it. They will not get enough shots. Aubameyang is one of the strikers of this generation, one of the best. And look what he turned him into.
He's getting 2 shots a game. He's getting like 2 shots a game.
He stands next to the linesman more than anybody else in the game. There's nothing. Anyway, it's a long answer because the thing is, I've been watching this for 2 years, and I can write a book about it. It's a comedy of errors. Yeah,
I don't want you to write a book tonight, but hang on there. So, but you've touched on many, many important points. You're talking about Arteta being a very young coach, really not understanding the game enough to implement his ideas. And I'm going to ask Omi this. Omi, people say he needs more time. Trust the process. Do you see that? What is the process? What is he trying to achieve? Ehab gave us an insight. He's trying to play a little bit of what he learned from Barcelona as a youth when Cruyff was there. He was a youth there for a while, and then he had to leave. He leave the youth system, he had an apprenticeship under Pep, and he was Wenger's manager on the field, if you may. But what is he trying to do? Why is it not working? And I think Ehab gave an insight. But in your opinion?
As far as the process is concerned, I don't know what it is. I really have no idea because I've never seen one in practice. As far as Arteta is concerned, I think in terms of what he always tries to do on the pitch, I think his team is always very limited in terms of the thinking process and in terms of the play by their manager, because you do not feel that a team that is playing out there has freedom to express themselves. It's always more with the thought of, okay, keep it in control, do not give up chances and things like that. So what you see Arsenal doing is rack up numbers in possession, but meaningless number. I mean, the last game that we had, I think so.
Crystal Palace.
The Crystal Palace one. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
I think we had almost like a 60 plus possession, something like that.
Something possession. Yeah, we all possess them.
Something like that. And I don't know if we ever created anything with that, apart from that one chance which we scored in the first half. And Palace killed us more on the counter.
Yes. I bet it was like a thorn in our side.
Somehow we ended up winning that game. Somehow, I don't know how, but somehow we did end up winning that game.
In the last 2 minutes.
And that has been happening in last 5 months, I would say. I mean, take Chelsea game, for example. There was no ambition. It's a goal, and then just basically sit back, defend for their life, and hopes that Chelsea never gets a chance, which basically they didn't. The one they did there was basically offside. So I think that in terms of the football that we are playing, and in terms of the personality that he wants to promote in the team, I think it's always very limited. I mean, take Martinelli, for example. The guy has a 32-year-old Willian playing in front of him, a player that was never needed by Arsenal, because I think we already had a young player like Nelson that could have basically been given the game time, and I think that would have been a better long-term investment than Willian proved out to be. So there are these kind of situations, and then of course when you look his squad and the transfer market that he had in the summer, you always wonder, okay, what he wants to play, because in certain areas he is very overloaded, in certain areas he is very limited. As far as his play is concerned, I do not think that in 1.5 year, in a 1.5 season, basically he has figured out that who are his best two midfielders, and that too after basically re-signing Ceballos and after signing Partey as well. He still does not know what is his best center midfield pairing. Still, same can be said about his centre back pairing. You don't know what is the back four that Arsenal have. Bellerin does not count as the starter. Gabriel is not the one. Holding is not the one. The only person that you can basically pinpoint is Tierney, but of course Tierney has had his injury issues as well. Same can be said about the front four, kind of, because there is a certain kind of thing. Okay, you never know where he's going to play Saka. Is he going to start him on the left? Is he going to start him on the right? You don't know where he's going to play Aubameyang. Is he going to be on the wings? Is he going to be on striker? So in 1.5 season, he has not been able to pinpoint his first 11. And as a manager, if as a fan, if I see that, it's worrying for me, because I do not feel that it's a manager who has a clear idea of what he is trying to achieve. And I think a manager a team basically always goes for the next step if a team has stability. That's what I believe. And that's what I've always witnessed under Arsene Wenger as well. Whenever I think the idea is that in a season, first try to make sure, okay, what are your best 11 and how to basically play the team.
Mm-hmm.
But if that is not consistent and with consistency, and you're going to change that a lot, and with that you see, okay, the results are up and down as well, I think it does beg for question. That is my overall view regarding Arteta as a manager, I would say.
So what I'm getting from you, you're not sure what his ideas are. It shows itself in his team selection. It shows itself.
When Arteta came, basically, he did say that he wants his team to be the one that basically decides or basically dictates the tempo, basically makes the key decisions and influences themselves on the pitch. But I think on the pitch, he is always more influenced mentally by the opponent rather than with the thought that how his team is going to win the game. It's always about how I'm going to stop them rather than how I'm going to win it. And I think this mentality, I had this issue with Unai Emery as well. And in terms of this, I feel that he reminds me more of Jose Mourinho, I would say, Mikel Arteta, rather than Pep Guardiola, because Pep Guardiola in his mind is a very free person. He's a very expressive person, and you can see that expressiveness in his team on the pitch. But you cannot see that expressive nature in Mikel Arteta's team. And I think that is a very key difference between Mikel Arteta and Pep Guardiola, and also the past escape managers that Mikel Arteta has worked with.
You know, I have been wrestling with the idea. Say, okay, he is only 18 months in the job. But the problem I'm having, Ehab, is that after 18 months, I see him, certain habits begin to form. Certain tendencies begin to express themselves. You're not very imaginative. You're not a manager who wants to take the initiative.
Yeah.
You're not a Byso whose teams play a certain way regardless.
Yeah.
It's a personality. You can see my personality in my posts. You can see my personality in my presentation to you today. It bothers me because after 18 months, and that is why I said he is not good for Arsenal, but, I can't dismiss that it's 18 months. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Actually, to be honest, the thing is, you always have to think like forward. You have to think for the future. The club is 130 years. It's going to be here in another 130 years. So the club lives longer than the players or the managers, all these people. Mm-hmm. So you have to think about it this way. Like, this is some of the, like, if we were thinking like a proper club, for example, we invested 29 million in Saliba. And we invested about 20 million in Bernd Leno. And at the same time, we let Koscielny go, and we fired Jens Lehmann.
Yes.
Now you have a German keeper who's young, a tall German keeper coming to play, and before he plays a single game, you fire the goalkeeping coach, who's the legend, tall German keeper.
Right.
And you have a defensive legend in Koscielny, a French guy. He's the captain of France. If he didn't get injured, he would be the one lifting the World Cup.
Correct.
Yeah, and And instead, he didn't, and they still celebrated. The first guy that got to hold it after the team was Koscielny, the World Cup. So you let him go, and then you invest 30 million in a 19-year-old French guy. So this is stupid, and this is what you need to think. Now we did this with Cazorla, who we paid salary for 2 years to get healthy, and then Unai Emery walked in and he said, "Let go for free."
Yes, just let him go.
No. It's okay. We already kept him. What you do is, he's healthy. You try him for another year. You have nothing to lose. He went into La Liga and became a team of the season player with Villarreal. But the thing is, you have to always, the money that you invest, this is not your money. This is the club's money, and you have to watch it. So Arteta, we've paid him 2 years. We've invested too much money in him. We have to understand that next year is not going to be different. I cannot predict the future, but this is not a prediction.
Right.
He's not going to walk in next year and be the guy that has 25 shots on goal. It's not going to happen.
Ehab, this is what I am saying. This is the personality. It doesn't change. You can change your behavior, but you can't change your personality. Keep going, my friend.
What we differ, me and you, with this is if I could draw something and I post it on the Twitter, what Arteta's trying to do is a good idea. Actually, it's not bad. Mm-hmm. If it works, it will work.
Yes.
But the thing is, on paper, if you sit with Arteta and he draws you everything on paper, you would think this man is a genius. But the thing is, as Sir Alex Ferguson said, in football, everything is complicated by the presence of the other team. and this is it. Right. Yeah, what happens is he has a plan to send the ball on one side, overload a little bit, give two options to the ball carrier, so the defense would follow one of them, and he would either cut inside or come in for a cutback. This is why he goes to the corner.
Yes.
But easily, a manager with 250 games under his belt would easily squash that. Would stand with two banks of 6 and 4. The bank of 6 is wide, so he has to be really wide. There were times when the player with the ball is almost standing out of bounds. Our player with the ball in the corner, if it's Uba or Tierney or Saka, they're almost standing, they're dribbling on the touchline because the defense has stretched us wide. And the fall in front of them makes it impossible to go back to the middle.
Yes.
And it's over. This is it. This is how we stop it. It's so fucking easy. Unai Emery stopped it. Brendan Rodgers stopped it.
Yes.
All these people stopped it, and it's totally easy. Even Sparta Praha, if they had the players, we would have never made it to the second round. Yes. But they don't have the defenders, so Saka kept beating them behind the defense, and Xhaka kept playing this through ball behind the defense that Saka kept running at it, and they couldn't handle him. And This is how we beat in Sparta Praha, and
Ehab, and I saw the same thing with Brighton. When Willian came on, he and Xhaka had them going because they couldn't. But then I saw the next game. I don't mind, it was been the Villarreal game. Might have been in between, and Emery stopped it. Any manager worth his salt can know that's what we're going to run that play. I don't know if it was before or after, but it was like a complete contrast. I agree with you completely on that. You know why I emphasize this, by the way, Ehab, because our fans, I think that this is an important technical point. Let me leave it at that. I'm not going to serve any judgment. It's an important technical point. If any opposition worth its salt can figure out, knows exactly what we're trying to do, and will squash it before it gets going after a while. Keep going.
But he doesn't know how to adjust it. Now, any manager who has a technical grasp on the game, he doesn't care. You want to know how? Arsene Wenger played the same type of football with Robin van Persie, Thierry Henry, Giroud as his strikers. Yes. None of them plays like the other.
Yes.
None of them plays like the other. One of them is a guy who can dribble from midfield,
Yes.
dribble past three defenders and score. The other guy is a skillful guy who would drop and take the ball and pass and shoot. The third guy is a target man. But we played the same football.
And
Because
and by the way, Ehab, and he had a power player in Adebayor, a power player, a pure power player. Because every time I look at him, I realize he was 6 foot something, and he overwhelmed his defenders and had a fierce shot. And he played in the same goddamn way.
The same way. And you know why? Because people were saying that the number 10 player, the cam, is gone. This thing is gone. The traditional cam is gone. That's why Ozil is not playing. This is the inability of managers, because they try to take what the defense gives them. What Wenger used to do is, you are going to put a wall in the pocket. I'm going to push that wall back.
Right.
I don't care. I'm going to put Ozil and Cazorla in the pocket, and let me see you deal with him. You have the combined IQ of your whole team standing in the pocket, and they're going to get the ball, and the defense has to deal with it. And he's going to force the defense to deal with it. And if the defense takes a risk, it's a goal. A small example is the Ozil goal against Chelsea in the 3-0 win.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they put Kante on Ozil and told him to keep pushing, to keep being physical with him. But Ozil has a really high IQ, and Wenger did not go away from Ozil. He's my main man. The ball is gonna go through him. He's the one who's gonna play make. He didn't run away. If it was Pep or if it was Arteta, if it was someone else, he would take Ozil out of the game, or he would keep him and play him on the wing or a decoy.
Yes.
Yeah, but no, I don't care. I'm gonna play this guy. The ball is gonna go to this guy, and this is what's gonna happen.
The long and short of it, though, Ehab, the long and short of it is that you think Arteta does not have the imagination to play a different way.
If you want Arteta to, I think his connection
going. Connection is dying. I need Omi because I was going to ask him a question, but keep going on. He'll come back on. Yeah,
and yeah, of course, because his is still on. I think he just turned off his camera to do something. Anyway, the thing is, I think if we want to keep Arteta, don't give him any money. Don't give him any money. This is true. Don't let him fuck up the team. Don't give him any money to make the team. And the most important part, don't expect next year to be different. Just live through the pain another year. Let him learn. And
all right, Omi's back. Ehab.
Go ahead.
Omi. So what we're seeing now, because we need to, we're like running way down into the final 15 minutes of the game. What we're seeing now is talk that we're going to lose Xhaka. These are all the key players now. We're going to who else are we getting rid of? We're going to sell off Willock. Ceballos is gone. Well, Willian needs to go. He's part of the £40 million waste. What will you pay him this year? £20 million? I'm not sure. No, he didn't get 20. How much did he get? 200,000 a week. That gives
that's 10 a year.
10 million. That was too much math for me for the short period. But Omi, with all these changes, they're gonna give him money to spend, he says, when we don't even have European football. How is this going to be better? Many people think it's going to change. How is it going to be better? Oh, well, put it this way. What is going to be different?
I think one thing that is going to be different is that we will not have any midweek fixture to be concerned ourselves with.
Yes.
But what that does bring to Arsenal, I think people need to understand this, that Arsenal is not like Liverpool, Arsenal is not like Spurs, Arsenal is not like, let's just say, Chelsea or whatever. That we are going to basically get the advantage of a season without a European football, because it's going to be the third season, not the third, basically the fourth season the 3 seasons in Europa League and the 4th without any European football. And I think there is a consistent decline in Arsenal performances and in Arsenal league positions as well. And there is a certain core group that has stick with us during that period. How long they are going to stick with us, that is a question that I think will be answered in the summer. I'm not sure. The second thing is that how much money Arsenal is going to have this summer. This is also a question that
Everybody's
I do not
easily
think
convinced that there'll be a lot of money to spend, but yeah, keep going. I'm saying that everybody's convinced there'll be a lot of money to spend.
Yeah, in recent days, what you have seen is that you have seen Mikel Arteta coming into press conferences and basically demanding money to be spent from Stan Kroenke. And he thinks that it's going to be, basically you just see him putting pressure on the owners. But I'm not sure that even if Arsenal do spend a lot of money this season, if they are going to basically sustain it or not. Do they have the financial backing to sustain it or not? Because let's not take this season lightly. This season without European football, let's not take it lightly, I would say, because it's going to have consequences, and that consequences are going to be shared. I mean, there is a reason why Arsenal went for the European Super League. There is a very simple reason. Arsenal cannot afford themselves back into top 4 through financial support. They cannot do that, and the only super player they have tied them to long-term contracts on a very lucrative deals. Can they support that as well, and will they remain here as well? That is another question. But what we are currently seeing is that that Arsenal are not going to be basically spending their way in top 4. This is something that I cannot see happening. And the only thing that I mean, let's see next season. I mean, West Ham is going to have a better prospect. That you then have Leicester, you then have of course City, Manchester United, Chelsea. Chelsea is not going to basically repeat the same problem, same issues again. They are going to spend, of course, because now they have a new manager, and that new manager has basically given them a certain kind of limelight as well with their Champions League finals. And of course, if they win that final, it's going to be a huge financial sport for Chelsea as well. So the teams that you see in and around Arsenal, you do not see them go. You do not see them going away, and how Arsenal is going to impact that is a big question. Because when you see the squad, you have your 2 main strikers, and both have question marks. Then you see your midfield, and Byso is going to leave. You do not have a creative midfielder in there, apart from the very young ones, Saka, Emilio Petro. But how much you can expect from them across the whole season? That is another question. Maybe they might be able to get by in a season without European football. Who knows? But the situation is that Arsenal have certain weaknesses and certain area of weaknesses that needs to be worked out in the transfer market. And will they have the support? I mean, we all saw that Arsenal wanted to get Aura last season from Lyon, but in my opinion, I think they only went for Partey because they weren't able to do so. And even if Xhaka leaves, so I mean, I don't know how we are going to basically replace that, because you only have to see the games of Arsenal this season that they have played without Xhaka
to see.
I mean, to see that what impact Xhaka has on this team. I mean, whatever problems you might have with Xhaka as a player, whatever negative points you might have for him, you cannot dismiss the fact that Xhaka does bring a certain kind of control to this Arsenal midfield, and he is a certain kind of driving factor who is capable of controlling the tempo in that midfield and dictating the play. And without him, we have always struggled to do so. So the question marks are there. Financial backing, I don't know how much Kroenke can do. Of course, there is a pressure from fans, and there is a pressure from the outside as well in shape of new bid. So that might influence something, but will that be sustainable, and will that bear fruit? I'm not sure.
Yes, Ehab, can the transfer market solve our problems next year? Where are the transfers coming from? Odegaard is a possibility, but what do you think? Like we just mentioned that if Xhaka is practically irreplaceable, he's the one you and I spoke about today, that who is going to progress the ball from back to front? Are we going to rely on long punts from Leno to get the ball up into the attacking area? Apparently we don't have any, most of our fans have no regard for a deep lying playmaker.
We
can
have,
the transfer market solve our problems, Ehab?
I mean, David Luiz is off the ball.
David Luiz used to
Yeah.
to lost the ball from one end to the other.
You have
Can the transfer market solve our problem?
No, the problem is you have to be realistic. You have to face the reality. We've spent 500 million, and the only players that we need are Martinelli and KT. The rest is disposable. They haven't played as much as there says. I mean, Partey and Pepe, you can keep them, but they cost 125 million. This is the price of Mbappe. Would you rather have Mbappe or Partey and Pepe? I could live with a Nenny and I could live with a Nenny and Xhaka in the midfield if I had Mbappe on the right side. And it's useless. What we paid has been totally useless. So if we paid 500 million to get two useful players, how much are we gonna pay? We spent 100 million already to replace Ramsey, and we still haven't. We don't have a player to give us what Ramsey used to give us. We're not even starting to compare Ozil. We got lucky with ESR, but to replace Ozil, it's gonna take another 100 million. So to sell our players like we're gonna replace them in a couple of days is just living in the clouds. It's not even reality. Like we're selling Bayern, we are selling Bayern, and we're selling Xhaka, and we are selling I hear Leno.
Leno?
Yeah. Somebody was talking about
it. I think.
Well, anyway,
I think I have here. I think I have here. There is another question, and that question is the credibility of the decisions. In the past, we have seen the money spent, but we have also seen that we spent 72 million on players like Pepe, but we haven't been able to get those 72 million that we spent in terms of the goals and in terms of the performance and in terms of the points. So I think spending is one thing. Spending in right places and at right players is another thing.
This is exactly what's
You would think if you spent $72 million on Pepe, 40-something million on Partey, 40 million on Gabriel, we should be in Europe. Come on, guys. We should be in Europe.
The thing is, what we are talking about, a club that has been around for 130 years, and the most expensive signing in our history is Pepe. The most expensive midfielder in our history is Partey. Mm-hmm. And you are talking about, you're talking about the players like Ozil, Ramsey, Vieira, Petit,
Cazorla,
Talbot, all these great midfielders that came to Arsenal and played in Arsenal and have the pictures on the stadium. And the most expensive signing out of all them is Partey, and the most expensive signing in club history is Pepe.
Pepe 72.
And you look at these two, and you think they should have had this huge. They should have carried us. Doesn't matter. They should have done something to justify that. And all I've heard is excuses. I like them. I like both of them, but not 120 something million. And if you add what we lost on Willian, and you add how much we paid for Ceballos loan, and you add how much we paid to buy Torreira, Guendouzi, and all these kind of people. If you look at Ansariba, who hasn't played a minute for us, and he's in Saint Etienne, and God knows if he's going to play for us, who we bought him for 30 million. If you add up these players, you could easily get Haaland and Mbappe up top. And this is, you have the money. You could just go. Can you imagine we've seen United do this exact same thing, and we went out and did it all. Now we have a team with separate pieces all around that doesn't fit with anybody. And when Arteta gets fired, this is going to happen next year. This is the other thing that's going to happen. If you want Arteta to stay, don't give him money and expect Spain for another year. Other than that, it's not going to happen.
The fans won't agree. The few that are listening to us, and it's going to be reposted on my blog, by the way, for those who are interested. Because I think you both guys have said some very, very important things. But Omi, we are embarking. We're going to keep Arteta for a year. I'm going to try to tie this all in. What can we expect? And I'm going to also throw that question at Ehab. We have one more year of Arteta. What's the best we can expect? What's the worst we can expect? That's the way I would like to frame it.
As far as expectation, personally, I don't have any. And I don't think that we are going to see anything different next season as well. Because I think the more this squad has had an impact of Mikel Arteta, the worse that it has become, basically. And I think the factor that Arteta had, a surprise factor or a tactical surprise factor, basically, that is not going to be the same next season. So you also saw it with Unai Emery, teams that were getting beaten or getting played by Unai Emery, they found a way to play it. Yes. And once that was done, it was set for Unai Emery. He was a goner, basically. And I think that can happen with Arteta as well. So you saw basically that run that Arteta made in the FA Cup. He beat City and he beat Chelsea, but none of those performances have been matched, not even close this season. And that is something that does worry me next season in terms of where Arteta wants to play. And of course, there's a question on the team as well. What team is going to be there? And what kind of squad we are going to build in the summer? And what it is going to be capable of doing. So as far as that is concerned, I don't think we will see any different. But I think what we will see is, I think that the response that we get from the club, the response that we get from fans, I think that might be different, because the fear that I have is that for Arteta to succeed, he only needs to get to Europa League next season. And I think that thing will be let's just say represented as, or will be communicated as, a success by the club and by Mikel Arteta as well, because the person who is least worried about the current Arsenal situation, I feel it is Mikel Arteta, because I heard his interviews in that he basically gave before the last game or the second last game, something like that. He said that the idea is in place. His team is now exactly what he wants them to do, and you can see that as well in the league as well. But of course, you can see that in league, Arsenal maybe in the third or the second position after basically the December. But I feel that any man or any person who has actually witnessed Arsenal play in those games, I do not feel that he can basically come out with the confidence and say, okay, this is the team that is really going to dominate the league next season, really going to basically hurt other teams. Because I feel current Arsenal team is kind of a toothless, and toothless, yes, kind of, because The only time that we have really made an impact are the times when Arteta have basically given up on his own ideas and just let the team play. I mean, you think about the Chelsea game at Emirates and there was I think one or two more games like this.
The game
He
against
had a
West
certain
Ham.
kind of
The game against West Ham when we
yeah,
were 3 down, and he just let them play.
Yeah, yes. There were certain kind of formations that Arteta were playing. Like early season, he was dead set on the back three. There were certain kind of midfield formations that he was playing. There were certain kind of front formations, the player combinations that he was basically set on. He never dropped Willian. He never dropped Saka. He never basically dropped Ceballos, and he tried to basically play Ceballos and Partey in one team as well. So I think the moment he cornered himself and tried to go away from his ideas to more younger generation, to more youth, there we saw a different kind of Arsenal and a different kind of play by Arsenal and different kind of football by Arsenal. And I think that only happened on very few occasions this season. I'm not sure if we are going to see that next season or not, because of course Arteta at the end of the day is going to try his best to influence the transfer decisions in the market in the summer. And what kind of players he's going to bring in, that is a different matter entirely.
And I have that question for you. Ehab, you said the best thing the club could do, gonna keep Arteta, don't give him any money to spend. But that is just your wish and your hope. He is gonna be getting something to spend. He's gonna get something. And my own view is that the player sales are going to be used. The players that they plan to sell are going to finance the purchases. The Cronkies have no history of dipping into their pocket. Yes, Omi?
Before Ehab answers this, I would say that one name that I would like to throw in the bucket is of Edu. And I think we have not touched him or talked about him enough.
Yes, well, when I thought about one of the reasons why he was coming in, he should be thrown in the mix. But maybe Ehab, he's kept a very low profile after, when he came in, he was on he was pictures of him, he was on TV and on the media a lot. But he's kept a very low profile since the last transfer window. What are your thoughts, my friend?
I think Edo's still new too. He's still learning.
Welcome to Byso. She was trying to get in a long time. Byso, we are coming to the end, but we're going to ask you what you've heard and what you think. Let's go. But let's do Ehab.
Okay. As I said, Edu is just he's still learning too. The mistakes are not his. The mistakes are from the top. Edu is just a scout. The mistakes started from the top. They, like with Josh and Vinay and Raul. So this was the main thing. The thing is that the whole thing needs to be changed at the top, and this needs an episode by itself to do.
Yes, I agree with you. And there's gonna be no change there. Josh came over for the last game. Interesting, he didn't take much. He didn't take any pictures. He didn't show himself with Edu, but he was mostly with Vinay. But he's committed to Arteta.
Yeah, the thing about Arteta is if you give him a lot of money this summer and he fails, which probably he will, because I'm sorry, because as Omi said, you have the top four top teams are, Liverpool's even going to be better.
Right.
You have Leicester. You have Leicester with Iheanacho covering for Vardy. I'm sorry.
Yes,
you have Leicester with Iheanacho covering for Vardy. You have what's his name? Bielsa is gonna improve his team. Everton has money and Ancelotti.
Yes.
So these are tough teams to beat. You have David Moyes is going to improve his team too.
You think Sullivan and company will give him money to spend? I don't know. But they were there in the Champions League.
Yeah, they do have money actually. What happens is those people, I think the best he can do is 6.
Yes.
But if we give him money and spend and we fire him and the new guy comes in and demands money to change the team, this could easily see us in 2023 playing at 15th and 16th because there will be no more money to spend. The team will look so, not like doesn't fit together. It will be like pieces and parts. It will not be a team. And we have to go through another process. So this is the main thing. Don't give him money. And if you take the pain for another year. And then after that, you decide in keeping him or not. If he's improving a little bit, if he gets you 6th and we're playing better, then okay, I'll keep him. I've taught him. For 2 years, he's given everybody heart attacks. He's spent our money. He's taken over a great club and, just messed it up. So we've paid our dues. We've paid for him to be a good manager. So if he starts being a good manager at the end of the year, bring him back. That's okay. If
Ehab, I'm going to tell you that it's not going to happen. They are going to give him money. But I want to, and really why I'm cutting is not because I'm rude, but I'm fast coming to the end. And Byso has been trying to come in from earlier. And I want to give her a chance to say something because we've been talking for a while. And where we are is what can we best expect next season? Omi doesn't have any great expectations. Ehab don't give him any money. He has spent too much and wasted it to come where we are. And then when I start talking about him, he disappears off the screen. I think he'll come back. So, Byso, what do you think? What is your expectation for next year?
Well, you know what? I think my expectation will be tailored to what we do in the summer window, right? Because right now, we don't know what kind of team that we are going to enter next season with. It seems clear to me right now that the club is willing to keep going with Arteta and try to see what next season brings. And then they're hoping, he manages to, keep the club competitive and, in that race for the top 4.
Top 4 Byso. I don't think their aspiration is top 4. I think their aspiration next year is top 6. That was their aspiration this year. I'm afraid to interrupt you, but I don't think that's their aspiration for next year. And I'm serious. I'm very serious about it.
I mean, you know what? I feel like the bar has been lowered so much that if we make top 6, the club will be happy, right? But I know that deep down, maybe they're hoping that, with no distraction from Europe, that we could, put together some kind of run that will get us into the top 4. But I feel like, yes, they will still be happy with the top 6. And they'll be like, oh, well, we finished 8th last year. We're 6th this time around. That's progress. But it's not progress to you and I, right? Because if we don't have the distraction of Europe, then we should be aiming for the top 4. We should be. There should be no excuse whatsoever. But again, like I said, it depends on what we do in the window. We're talking about, selling Xhaka. Who do we replace Xhaka with?
Selling Bellerin. Bellerin. Well, Bellerin didn't get much game time. Go ahead.
Yeah, who do we replace those guys with, right? Then, apart from who do we replace them with, what are we going to do about the African Cup of Nations, which is coming up in January? Right. We're going to lose 4 players as it stands in January. Aubameyang, Pepe, Partey, and Elneny. And if we do go in for Bissouma, we're going to lose Bissouma as well. So that's 5 players from your starting 11. How are you going to cope? Because at the end of the day, we don't want to finish next season and then they tell us, oh, but we could have achieved this, but because AFCON we know AFCON is coming, so we have to prepare for that. So we have to make sure that the profile of players that are coming in are those who are going to be available for and be able to step up when those guys leave for AFCON.
Okay.
So for me, I would expect, my own expectation for next year would be a top 4 finish. But for that to happen, they would need to go into the market and recruit smartly. They have to recruit smartly. We don't have the money. We are in more and more debt as we're going with each year. So what do we do about our growing debt? Now we have to sell players. Maybe we can sell up to 5-6 players and make 70 M. But what do we spend that money on?
But Byso and the rest of the team and those who are listening, the rest of the market knows we are a selling club now. They are, that's how the dynamics of the market. People don't understand this. They say, oh, but he's worth X amount. But the market knows you're going to sell, and you must sell. Arsene Wenger used to play that game. He knew that the club had to sell. The club that he was buying from, and he would wait until deadline day when they had no choice because they needed money. It's the same thing with us. They know we have to sell to make the acquisitions that Arteta says publicly he needs to make. So I see people on Twitter wondering why Xhaka is only 50 million, Bellerin is only 12 million.
It's a buyer's market now.
It's a buyer's. They know we are selling. They don't have to make any big offer. Just hang tight until the window is about to close. That is the dynamics of the market.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. Yeah, you are very optimistic.
You know what? I'm not saying, my expectation is higher than what maybe I feel like the team can achieve at this point. Yeah. Because if we had a more experienced manager, maybe what the team can achieve can match my expectations. But right now, I don't feel like Arteta has that experience to squeeze in a higher level of performance than the team is able to, give to us. So right now, if I'm looking at that team and we're going to next season with this same team, we could say we're a top 6 side, right? And if he achieves top 6, comes in 6th, he has achieved what the level of the team is. But a better manager will be able to get us a top 4. Because he can squeeze additional performance out of the team. You get what I mean?
Like a certain manager we had for 22 years.
Yeah.
I'm going to...
Yes. When we're talking about Arsene, a lot of it is, in hindsight, he did so much more than we gave him credit for when he was at the club. Yes. And it does pain me when I see still, people are insisting that he did not, he basically underperformed. But in my opinion, his best years as Arsenal manager were in the early Emirates era. How he managed to keep us in the top 4 year in, year out with the squad we had. Yes. What he achieved with that squad was actually better than what he achieved with the Invincibles, because the Invincibles should have won more titles. They should have won at least 1 Champions League. Right. But that team that we had between 2007 and 2013 had no business finishing top 4. And we did it year in, year out. So he overachieved for sure.
Okay, we have done the 90-minute stretch, and I'm going to give Omi and Ehab a last chance to kick the ball before we wrap this up. Any last thoughts, Omi? Any last ideas that you wanted to share? This is your last kick of the ball.
Well, I feel that since what we are doing is that reviewing the season that we currently had, I think if we are going to honestly review the season and the performances of the team and the manager, I personally feel that Arteta should not survive, I would say. But one thing that has been affected this season is that this has been basically a corona-ridden season, in which you do not see fans in the stadium. That is something that might change next season, because certain number of fans are going to be in the stadium next season, and there have been performances at home this season that, if they are repeated next season, I do not think that Arteta is going to find a supportive fan base behind his back. And there was a point that someone made that if we had played this season, the current season, with the fans in the stadium, Arteta would have been sacked in December.
Of course.
And I think this is something. Yeah, and I think this is something that should not be taken lightly, and I think this can have an impact this season. That's what I'm thinking. So Arteta, I think basically the thing is that the ball is now in Arteta's court.
Indeed,
and he is going to now make sure that he convinces the fans that, okay, he's the guy. And if he does not, I think the ship can sink very soon, very fast and very soon next season. Just the way that it happened with Unai Emery, because at one time he was just this much close to a top 4 finish, and this much close to getting the Champions League, and then suddenly everything just falls apart. He loses that final, and then next season everything just goes sideways, and everyone starts seeing the cracks that were actually present before, but everyone was just ignoring it. And I think with Arteta, the situation is same. The cracks are there. You can basically see that. But
yes.
people are trying to basically overlook them in the name of giving him the time, in the name of basically trusting the process. So that thing, I think, has a very thin support. I would say that bridge has a very thin support currently. And if Arteta did not started the next season in the right way or with the right results, I think that can fall apart very quickly.
So you are having a kick at Arteta, not a fair kick, saying that he, with the crowds there, he wouldn't probably not have survived, and that the support is thin. That ball, he pumped that ball to you, Ehab. We're deep in extra time. Your final thoughts?
I'm gonna keep it short. It's my worry is not the pitch. What's going on in the pitch? As I said, I've been a fan a long time. I've seen us finish lower a few times. My worry is that teams can sink easier than anybody thinks in this economy. Wenger's biggest achievement is saving, and what he's to blame for is saving enough money for these idiots to spend and not feel that they've done anything wrong. So I'm afraid we're gonna spend more, do more bad decisions. Sorry, do more bad decisions, and just sink this ship. This is my primary fear. Arteta stays or goes, it'll solve itself out. But when you're in debt, you're never coming back. I've seen this happen too much. Parma, Deportivo La Coruña, Bolton, Blackburn.
Yes.
Leeds themselves.
Leeds had to sell the family silver. I don't think do they own Ellen Road?
What's that?
Do they own the stadium, Ellen Road? I don't think they do, I think they sold it off.
The new owner has fixed a lot of things, but they still don't own it.
See what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah, the things is, as I said, it's easier to sink a football club, and now we are becoming irrelevant. We are becoming 8th and 10th, and 8th and 10th. So FIFA would be okay with us going away. We're not Real Madrid, so not everybody's going to jump in. Or Barcelona, they have 1.3 billion in debt, and nobody is pushing them. Yeah. We're not those people. If we go away, it's not going to ruin football. And as I said, I've seen it. I've seen it happen to Parma, to Stuttgart, to Hamburg. I've seen these teams win the Champions League. I've seen Stuttgart win the Champions League in my life. I've seen Hamburg.
Villa won the European League, my friend.
Yes, Aston Villa, Nottingham Forest. Those are big teams that gone away. When Arsene Wenger took over, we had worse finances and 4 more trophies than Villa.
Wow.
Yeah. Today, we could easily turn into Villa.
Wow. That's a very sobering thing. And so, Byso, I will leave with you. Still not optimistic? Top 4, top 6?
Like I said, Shotta, it's hard for me to, until I see what we do in the market, it's hard for me to estimate where we will end up. But I'm saying that personally, what I would like for the club to finish is in top 4, because there are no excuses this time around. There's no Europe to distract us, and we just have to finish top 4.
Well, on that note, I really want to thank you guys. 90 minutes. My first ever live stream. My audience, I can tell you, is not very grand, but the longest journey starts with the first step. I think it's been a very, very good discussion, rich in the facts and data. I want to thank Omi. I want to thank Ehab. He's been having a cough. I want to thank you, Byso. Thank you very much for
sharing.
Thank
you for the invitation.
Yeah, right. I love it all. I love you all. We'll do this again. Thank you very much.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you, Shotta. Bye.
Bye, Omi.
Bye.